Yo, what's up guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. That time I got Isakied as a slime. DanmachixTTIGRS by awalker0641. Chapter 16. Flight in the darkness. It was a night of a new moon with a pitch-black sky that a mysterious figure stood atop of Babel, looking over the domain of both mortals and immortals. The cool wind whipped around the figure as it examined the lights below that attempted to pierce the night. It looked over the land as though trying to find something. If anyone could see the imposing figure, they would ponder on what or where it was looking. Was the being vigilantly looking for possible crime to disrupt? Or perhaps it was a villain deciding its next possible target? Perhaps the figure lost its love, ready to take its life? Or it was a being of supreme power looking to take the city for itself? If the people of the land could see the being, they would only be able to hypothesize, for only it knew the truth. It being in clad black made it nigh impossible to determine the difference between it and the night sky. The figure walked back a little bit before running. As it reached the edge, it jumped back to the wall and head to the ground. It sped along Babel while descending to the earth. It rotated in midair as though it wanted to grab the wall and cease its descent. But it would be nigh impossible at the speed it was going. They kept falling faster and faster, accelerating at a pace that would be deemed suicidal, but the being did not try to cease their fall. There was no flailing of its arms or scream of despair or cry of desperation. Its arms and legs were together as though it had accepted that death was the only thing to greet them upon hitting the ground. If people could see, they could only point and cry in horror, for there was nothing else for them to do. The person dived faster and faster, down past the 30th, 29th, 28th, and 27th floors of Babel. It kept descending. Still it did not struggle, for it would be a fruitless effort on its part. Lights started to show upon it. Little by little the figure came into the view of any who looked upon the tower at the clouded night. The light could only show so much of the figure due to it being clad in all black. However, nothing could be truly discerned of their color of hair or the tone of their skin. For the person could only be seen as nothing but a black blur. It approached the ground, silent as ever. It passed the 8th, 7th, 6th floor before it made any sort of motion. However, it did not move its arms or legs but its wings. It spread its wings, for it was no man or woman but a beast. The color were pitch black as they blended with the night and repelled the light. The length was long as the tallest man, yet creature kept approaching the ground. However, before hitting it, the monster pulled up. It glided across the surface of the ground, mere inches above the cobble, before it climbed in the air. It went up higher and higher in the sky, passing over building and people unnoticed but to a few. The monster traveled over the rich, the poor, the happy, and the destitute alike, for it had no care of those beneath it. The creature kept flying into the night till it reached the city edge before disappearing, because, for the man named Rimuru, flight has come to an end. To understand why Rimuru would make such a drastic reason to fly over the city, one must go back hours before his final flight in the night was taken. It was another average day for me. Wake up, make breakfast, beat the crap out of Belle, and then go out to the city and explore. I had stopped by the guild to see how I did on Anna's test and to see if Loki got back to me. Turned out I got all of the questions right. But that is to be expected with Raphael on my side. And somehow Loki replied faster than I thought possible, because there was a letter telling me where to meet her. While I was at the guild, I thought about doing some more investigation of the dungeon and had learned some more about familias, but I decided I'd do that tomorrow. Today I was going to map. Now some may wonder why I am mapping the city. Surely the guild has already done so. Yet there are areas that have not been mapped, such as a place named Daedalus Street. But that is not the only reason. I'm also wandering around because I was tasked to find secret passageways. I mean, a city this big is bound to have a way in or out of either the dungeon or the city itself. Only an idiot would think that there won't be a hidden entrance to the dungeon. Why? Well, due to the fact the entrance constantly has guards near the entrance, either watching for monsters to leave or for outlaws to enter. And this place has been settled for 1,000 years. There is bound to be a passageway or two. Honestly, this was something Hinata asked me to do. Since she knew I could map, she wanted me to find out if such entrances existed after we talked to Uranos. At first I thought it was going to really suck. But it actually got better and better because I kept finding new and exotic dishes that I would have never tried if I didn't do this. There was also some cuisines that I was familiar with, which was comforting. So I guess I should actually thank her for getting me to do this. Finally, after the walk from the guild to Daedalus Street took a little longer than I would have expected, but that's what happens when you find a stand that sells dried purple snakes on a stick ran by an old woman. I looked around to see that it is completely run down. But that is not the only thing. The place was huge, and from looking at the map being made it out to be a literal maze with multiple passages. I don't want to walk through that. It's a complete and utter nightmare. Raphael, do we have any other options? Less than affirmative. There are two possibilities Master could take to speed up the process. Greater than. Oh ho. Raphael with the save. What are my options? Less than. Master can jump from building to building while spreading out his magicules to ascertain the lay of the maze. However, it will be both consuming of time and magicules. Greater than. Okay. And the other? Less than. Since it is a new moon tonight, Master could take to the sky and fly over the city, finishing his mapping. While a higher rate of magicules would be used, but it would take less amount of time. And Master would complete his mapping. Greater than. But would it be more cost efficient to just walk around and map the city than just flying? Less than. Negative. The amount spent walking around the city would be 30% more magicule usage and 98% more expensive on Master's wallet than it would be to fly. While the usage of magicules is higher initially, over the time it would take for Master to map the city by walking versus flying tonight would be more expensive. Greater than. That does make sense. And since it's a new moon tonight, it will be darker then, which will make me harder to spot. Less than. Notice. Master should wear all black and cover every inch of skin to protect against being spotted. Greater than. That is very true. I stroked my chin in thought. I had to admit that the second proposal was far more tempting than the first. Although I would be expending more magicules to cover the entire city, forcing me to go to the dungeon soon. But I was running low on funds anyway, and since Loki got back to me for drinking tomorrow, I was going to spend even more money. So, in the end, the second option was best. I left Daedalus Street behind to head to the nearest clothing store to buy a pitch black getup and a black mask. After buying it and putting it in my stomach, I walked back to the dungeon. From there I went to get on an elevator that I found in my explorations to take me to the top of Babel. As I was approaching, the door started to close. Hold that door! I exclaimed as I ran. A meaty hand reached out and held it open for me. I ran in and wiped my brow in relief. Phew. Man, thanks for holding that door. I thought I would have to wait for the next elevator. I went and pressed the topmost button. Apparently there are 50 floors here, and he is going to the 30th floor. I take a glance at my elevator buddy. Once I saw who it was, I had to a double take to make sure I was not mistaken. The person right beside me was Otter, captain of the Freya Familia. Welp. This is awkward. The door closed as I thought about escaping. The only thing between us was air and elevator music that made the trip even more awkward, so I decided to talk to the guy. Sue. How is your day going? I was only regarded by an ear twitch. The next couple of minutes was pure silence with that stupid elevator music. When we reached the floor, he got off without a word. Have a nice day, I said as he left. Honestly, I have no idea why I even said that. But my journey continued upward till I reached the top and exited the elevator. I had to walk in a hall a little and climb a set of stairs before reaching a padlocked door. So using Beelzebub, I removed the lock, opened the door, walked outside, walked in, closed the door, replaced it, and used spatial domination to head outside. Easy peasy. Nobody would know I was up here. Well, Otter might know. As I looked over the land, I could only marvel at the sights. It was beautiful. And with the sunset making it even more breathtaking. So I waited till the sun fully set and moon rise by passing the time and reading some manga. Then I decided it was time to take flight. I looked to the sky to see heavy cloud coverage blocking out the stars, and then below to see the city lights faintly piercing through the clouds. Raphael calculated the trajectory and my flight path for optimal coverage as well as being discreet as possible. And so I got a running start and jumped. I could feel the wind against my face as I plummeted. I was falling at a fast pace. My heart rate increased and adrenaline filled my veins. I could feel the blood flowing through me, is what would happen if I had any organs. But nonetheless I was filled with excitement. Next to Babel I kept plummeting. Clouds filled my view till I separated from them. Then I saw the lights of the city filling the sky. It was a sight to behold. I marveled at the sight before me. Then I felt a tug on my back as my wings spread to catch air when the appropriate height that Raphael had calculated was approached. From there it was a glide to the wall, land on top of it, and using spatial domination to get back to the top of Babel. And then I repeated the cycle. But every time it felt freeing to spread my wings and take flight over the city without repercussion. On my final leap I had a request for the wise king. Hey Raphael. Can you bring me as close to the ground as possible? That would be a thrill for sure. Less than. Affirmative. Greater than it sounded hesitant but nonetheless agreed. So I marveled over the city once more before I began my final descent. Those that saw a set of eyes looked to the sky. It was another night as a barmaid. Customers coming and going making for a busy night. Not that she minded as long as no one touched her. The sky was dark as ever when she thought she saw something. It looked as though it was a black-winged creature that speeded overhead. Perhaps that was something that needed to be looked into. A set of eyes looked to the sky. It was another night as an adventurer. She was on her way home in the dark when she believed she saw it. A black bird flew overhead. Perhaps it was a sign of change to come. Yet, even if she told anyone, no one would believe her. A set of eyes looked to the sky. It was another night as a prostitute. She was kneeling looking at up high when she thought she saw it. A reminder of the past when she read hero stories. The feeling of being free. But alas, a freeing hero would not come for a prostitute like her. A set of eyes looked to the sky. It was another night for a goddess. She was sitting there wondering about her lover when he passed right in front of her window. Her heart stopped as she leapt near the spot where he passed. Only to see him take flight and then disappear once again. Maybe it was time to repay for that night they first met. A set of eyes looked to the sky. It was another night for the woman. She closed her eyes and rubbed her temple as her friend passed over some buildings. Damn it, Rimuru.